Welcome to the Konglish Talk podcast, a chill talk show brought to you by Sub-States Girl and Korean guy living in Korea. My name is Leah.
And I'm Diaz, and today's topic is guns in the States and Korea.
Here we go.
Well, both two countries really familiar with guns, but there's very different reasons that why those two countries are familiar with that. And those two countries' government has really different policies. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yes.
Okay, don't forget to follow us and set the alarm.
Ding.
We all know that States is the really gun-friendly country.
Yeah.
I think States is the only country that has more than one gun per one person.
Yeah, probably. Most people carry at least one gun. And I don't mean like carrying like public, although we have concealed carry for that, but having one in their home, yeah, most people have one. To understand, because guns are a culture in America, and you'll see a bunch of memes, especially if you're outside of America. Literally anyone outside of America, you'll see memes about like America and their guns, and it's like, but it is true. Like it really is like that in America. And whenever I was doing some research, some deeper research about this topic, there was a really insightful comment by a political scientist named Robert Spitzer in 1995, who said that that modern American gun culture is founded on three things: the proliferation of firearms since the earliest days of the nation, the connection between personal ownership of weapons and our revolutionary and frontier history, and the cultural mythology regarding gun in the frontier modern life. Because we have to remember that America was, I don't want to say founded because the Native Americans were there first, but whenever the colonizers from Britain came over to America, it was a whole new country that hadn't been explored by outsiders before. It was like it was literally the Wild West, which is why the Wild West is with all the cowboys and guns, is a very popular genre of media in America, because that's how it was back then. People came and they had their guns. They had town militias because they didn't have like an organized police state yet. It was everybody kind of like fending for themselves and killing their own game and stuff like that. And that's why gun culture is also really popular in the countryside for like killing deer and stuff like that. It's a sport in America. So it's just become this whole thing, and it became a Second Amendment right when we established the country. So a lot of people, to like protect themselves, really don't want to give away their guns.
Yeah. America has their own history that made guns really common among lots of people.
For me personally, I mean, I understand. Here's the thing, and we'll get into this topic a little bit later, but in America, I mean, I am not necessarily somebody who thinks that we need to have guns. If it were up to me, I wish that we wouldn't have them at all. But the fact that we've had them for so long in America, it is literally impossible to get rid of the amount of firearms we have in America. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand outside of the country how many we have. We have more guns than people. It would probably be impossible to get rid of all of the guns. But I think that a lot of people also want them just in case shit hits the fan, because I think a lot of people don't want to feel like we're powerless against the police and against the government because they have guns. So I think that as common people, if something were to happen, and I'm not trying to, conspiracy theory or revolution, but, stuff happens in countries, you never know. People just kind of like want to be prepared. I mean, of course, there's like everyday robberies and stuff like that people keep guns for. But I think like a lot of people kind of also think like, well, if something happens, at least I'm not defenseless, because if I don't have a gun, they probably do. So
I think in that kind of circumstance, I would own my gun too to protect my people. And
yeah,
I'm gonna let you know why Korea is really friendly with guns. Korea started to use guns on the mid and late Joseon dynasty because we imported guns from western side on the mid Joseon dynasty, and still Korean soldiers mostly used bows and arrows instead of guns, but on the late Joseon dynasty, we started to use guns. Still, the gun was not that popular among people. But, Korea had the Korean War. Lots of things happened, and we were really friendly with guns because most of the men had to go to the military and save our country. And still, we didn't end the war. We are on a truce status, so the war is still ongoing, and every male in Korea has to go to the military, so 95% of male are friendly with guns, so lots of people doesn't own guns in Korea, but they know how to use guns and how to operate guns, so that's why Korea is really friendly with guns. But still, Korea is one of the most safe country in the world, and we have a really decent public security system, so people, including me, doesn't think that we have to own our own security system.
Mm-hmm.
Korea is not that familiar with guns on the public side, but they all know how to use guns. And the government policy also worked for that too, because right after the war, well, after the war happened, everything is chaotic and somebody own their guns. Somebody just hide their guns from the military base, and there was some cases that happened regarding to guns, and Korean government started to regulate really hard with guns. Since then, no Korean civilians can buy guns easily.
Got it.
The guns, like handguns, like Glock,
yeah,
you cannot get them. The only guns you can buy in Korea will be hunting rifle. But you need to write tons of documents, and you have to send to the government, and you have to show them that I am very mentally healthy and I'm not gonna do anything but hunting. And even if you own your gun, you cannot own your gun into your home. You have to put that into the police station. And the police should use 2 keys to open that garage and always write a documents for that. Korea is one of the most complicated country with guns, so that no one owns their guns into their home unless you're in a special agent like that. That's why Koreans are really familiar with guns thanks to war, and we always go to the military base. But Korea is one of the gun-free country. Yeah.
Do any police officers have training with guns? Because I don't think I've ever seen a police officer in Korea, like, carrying one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know in the States, I watch lots of the state police YouTubes, and they use guns really a lot, and they sometimes kill criminals with guns.
Yeah.
And protect people. Yes, Korean police also learn how to use guns. Not only in a military base, you can use guns in Korean police department. They also learn how to use guns just in case.
Do they carry them?
Yeah. Some police does. But most of the first fire will be empty fire, like the scaring fires. Korean police use the low damaged guns, so using like a plastic bullet instead of the lead.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one expects that criminals will deal with guns against police.
Yeah.
Because we don't expect that there will be a gunfire in case really hard. If that happens, the Korean SWAT will be in charge, and they will go and they will deal with as the normal state police does.
Yeah.
But yeah, Korean police also learns how to use guns, but we really don't use that. They don't use that really a lot. So if gunfire in case happens in Korea, that's a very big news. Like I know that in the States, you guys said that also as a big news, but that's kind of like a normal thing.
Yeah, unfortunately. I know that now, ever since like a couple of years ago, a lot more people have been very, very critical about police brutality in America. It's a really big topic and a really genuinely big problem too. A lot of police officers in America are, unfortunately, the culture of training is very aggressive and very much so like shoot first, ask questions later, making police officers executioners rather than like, you know, protectors or whatever, which is a whole other thing that would make this video 5 hours long. But yeah, it's not good though. But that's good that Korean police have familiarity with like knowing how to use guns though, like just in case.
Yeah, but mostly we use gas guns instead of the real guns.
Yeah.
So
what about taser guns?
Oh, we use that too sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if they use a taser, that's also a news. So the Korean news will say the police use taser to let the criminal down. We use that like that.
Wow.
And they replay that video for like more than 5 times, and this is a big news. Yeah.
So there aren't many hunters in America. Not in America. There aren't many hunters in Korea. Like for shooting game.
Yeah, there are some hunters, not many, because
yeah.
As I say, you need tons of documents and you need lots of things to do to become a hunter.
Right.
And you can use your guns only at certain time. So there's a time that the hedgehog comes down to the village and those police need hunters to catch those hedgehogs.
Yeah.
And lots of harmful animals that will harm those farms and even civilians. On those seasons, police open the armory and let the hunters use hunter's guns. So
yes. So ever since colonial times in America, we've used guns for sport, as I said, with wild animals. So shooting skills, survival among rural American men in many cases, it became like a rite of passage for men to learn how to shoot deer or bears or whatever, especially if they're living in the rural areas, and women too later, of course. So it's still extremely common. Like if you go to a house that's in a more like rural area or more countryside in America, it is very common to see people like have their hunting license and they go hunting and they take their kids. Like they will literally take their kids. Yeah. And like teach them like how to shoot. Like all of that. You will see people who do that for deer and make their own deer jerky. You'll see people mount antlers and stuff like that on their walls in their home. Like real deer. And like one of our friends back in the States, like their house, their dad is a hunter, and literally like mounted on their walls are like dead animals that he's killed. And like some people will like mount the hunting rifle on their wall. Yeah, like people get really proud. And even if you don't live in the countryside, a lot of people go to shooting ranges and they learn how to shoot like just basic shooting at a shooting range instead.
Well, in Korea, you cannot imagine like that animal on the wall, but
I know. It's like legit, I mean they're in movies and stuff, but it's real.
Korean doesn't have that much shooting range because it's really hard to open that kind of shop. You need like tons of regulations. We regulate lots of things in guns, and so that we don't have that kind of hunter culture. Because, as I said, we only can hunt on certain times.
But that's another reason why our movies are also so like. You see so many guns in American movies, too, because, like I said, whenever they inserted it into our media, I mean, we have, like, the Wild West genre, and then as technology was getting introduced, that's when you saw, like, the 007 and, like, the spy movies and, like, vigilante movies of people, like, using guns and stuff like that. Like, it's just, like, it kind of also became, like, a good guy versus bad guy kind of, like, movie genre. So superhero movies are super popular in America still. Like, I think that's where it all kind of stems from.
That's why the States movie has lots of guns, too, but...
Top Gun.
In Korea, we also have lots of movies regarding to guns, but we all know that's fucking fake.
Right! Like, whenever... It just, like, it makes me laugh if I ever see, like, a Korean show or movie where somebody's using a gun. I'm like...
You know?
You'd have to be, like, high up to, like, use a gun in Korea. Like, I mean, high up.
Literally, possessing gun is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Even it's really hard to see police using guns. So
Yeah.
in Korea, police just use the sticks to...
Just use the stick.
Or the most will be, like, gas will be the highest level of threatened.
Like tear gas?
Tear gas, yeah.
Yeah. American cops use that too. Do Korean police bring tear gas or, like, stuff like that to protest just in case? Because Koreans really like to protest. There's, like, always a protest going on.
Oh, that's another story. So, yeah, we had lots of protests, and if that goes hard, we didn't use tear gas that much, but we used the water hose really a lot. So, shooting the water hose to our people. That was really normal in Korea. But the law changed, and the demonstrators became more peaceful, so police doesn't use that kind of things. They just stand up with the shield. That's it in Korea now. Korea also happens burglary cases sometimes.
Really?
We also have people. But the reaction when the burglary comes in is really different. So I heard that in this stage when the burglary comes in with guns, and you guys will say, "Oh shit, don't show me."
Yeah.
Like that's a real threat, right?
Yeah. But
in Korea, when you bring guns, then those restaurant guys will think that, "Oh, is he another costume player?" Because we are not. We always think that burglary in Korea happens with knives, not guns. So if gun shows up, then okay, you have to learn lots of things about guns before you use that, and you should be really careful with that. Anyway, this is all for this week, and we're gonna see you on next week.
Bye.
Bye.